What's going on, boxing fans? I'm back here with another video here set for you guys. Gonna be talking about the boxing events that happened this past weekend on Saturday Night Fight Night. That being the top rank card and as well as the main event of the DAZN card with Tevin Farmer and William Zepeda, the rematch that they had with each other. But to start off with the three main fights on the top rank card that I will want to talk about to you guys, bringing that news to you, that being boxing. We got Bruce Carrington Jr. versus Enrique Vivas. I'm glad that some of these fights, well, two of them were really short, but the first two that I'm going to be talking about, I'm glad they were short, done, and to the point because they needed it to be. Bruce Carrington is a highly ranked prospect with top rank with Bob Arum from Brooklyn. Last time out, from what I remember when I last seen him, didn't he did win the fight. He didn't have the greatest performance, but I feel like he needed to be able to have a proven point fact type of fight where he just got the job done and he just nailed it into the coffin. And there was not much to really be able to talk about. And there's really not much to be able to talk about this fight. Him and Enrique Vivas, one thing that I can say before the fight even finished in the third round, Enrique Vivas looked absolutely atrocious. Never seen him fight. And if that's how he usually fights, with him having a 23 and now 4 record, this was a layup for Bruce Carrington, and he absolutely treated it like how it was a layup. Um, the boxing defensive capabilities of Bruce Carrington Jr., him being a sharpshooter, him with the counter punching, him having his defense to offense momentum, his just the skill set and the ability that Bruce Carrington has was just on showcase against Enrique Vivas. In the third round, I believe he gets a nasty uppercut that stuns Enrique, then a right hand over the top, drops him, and then throughout the rest of the round, and I believe it was the second round, excuse me, throughout the rest of the round, Enrique is just wobbled, goes into the corner, goes into the next round, and it's just pretty much the similar same thing where Bruce Carrington Jr. is just teeing off against Enrique Vivas, getting the job done in the third round, getting a nice KO victory for his resume. Calls out some people saying stop being scared. I mean, there's not a lot of names. Well, I'm not going to say there's not a lot of names, but in the featherweight division, for him, especially being so young and as a prospect, I mean, Robeisy Ramirez is coming off a loss in his division. That is a name that you can be able to put him against Bruce Carrington. Somebody that's across the street, but Brandon Figueroa, who's also coming off a loss against Stephen Fulton. I don't think you have to put him up to the big names like an Angelo Leo, Stephen Fulton, like I just mentioned. I believe there's Pedraza Peroza, who's also a champion in this division. There's a few names that, I wouldn't put Bruce and pressure him, so much to be able to get forward. But there's some names that definitely want to up the competition with Bruce Carrington Jr. Moving on to the co-main event of the top rank card, and it was Brian Norman Jr. versus Derek Cuevas. Another fight that thankfully was in short order and what exactly it needed to be in the welterweight division. Brian Norman Jr. is coming off a spectacular victory where he got the knockout victory, and he also is now a champion in the welterweight division, so he has a staking claim. Another young and upcoming, I wouldn't say young and upcoming, but he's a young guy, kind of unproven, hasn't been up with the best of the best so far, so to speak. There is Emmanuel Stadionis and Jerron Boots Ennis, who's going to be fighting soon. You had some fighters that was in 147 that's going to be jumping to 154. So 147 as of right now is kind of light. But Jerron Boots Ennis is still in the 147-pound division. That's a huge name, and especially for Brian Norman Jr. With the talent and the abilities that he has as of right now, he just did the job that he needed to be able to do. And against Derek Cuevas, there's not much to be able to say. This only went, I believe, 2 rounds. He hurt him with a nice left hook right on the jaw, wobbled him, and then another one put him straight back, just running back forward. Don't know how he went down, but he was wobbly all around the canvas in the ring, that being Cuevas. And then you move on to the second round, where then there was a nice combination of where it was a 1-2-1, where it was a jab, a right hand, and then a jab right after the right hand that really stunned and hurt Derek Cuevas, who got him out of there, got the job done, gets another nice knockout on his resume. This one a lot more easier, not a lot of damage is brought onto him, so if he wants to get himself back into the ring and get himself another stay busy fight, or maybe just jump up to another, better fight, something to be able to sink his teeth in, and something that's, that has maybe to be able to unify the division. I don't think Jerome Boots Ennis is going to be staying at 147 for a while. I think this after the Stanionis fight, I think he's going to go up to 154. Seems like the best thing for him. I mean, he's talked about a lot how the weight cut and him being in the division is really tough. And from his past outings, he hasn't been really the same. And with age, it's not going to be able to carry over. But if he does stay in 147 in the welterweight division somehow, some way, he is on the zone as of right now. So they kind of partner up pretty well with Top Rank and ESPN. Brian Norman Jr., that would be an absolute banger of a fight between these two absolutely talented young dudes that are up and coming, and whoever really wins that fight gets their name even pushed more farther in the stratosphere of the 147 pound division, and maybe even towards potentially in the future the pound for pound rankings. That's how much highly touted I think these guys are, if I'm being fairly honest. I think these guys are absolutely great, and they just need more competition around them to be able to get names on their resumes that really will put them forward in their careers. And moving on to the main event of the Top Rank card, and it was the rematch between Mikael Mayer and Sandy Ryan, an absolute barn burner, a banger of a fight. In the first fight between these two gals, I had my review on this channel between them two, and it was honestly the best women's fight besides maybe Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor that I've ever seen. That was absolutely tremendous. This fight wasn't the same, but it definitely was up there in terms of entertainment value and violence. Was this one was a lot more boxing, a lot less emotion, a lot less tension and build up was into this matchup between these two guys. A lot more respect. So we seen more typical technical boxing between these two women, and from the onset you could just see the pressure, the pace, the skill, the technical ability, and as well as the fast hands of Mikael Mayer was just the absolute offset. It negated anything that Sandy Ryan was able to bring. She really, again, she tried to be able to use her jab, move backwards, show that she can be able to box with Mikael Mayer. And it was just worse for wear. She was getting whooped on again throughout the entirety of the fight, but especially towards the beginning and the middle of the fight. Mikael Mayer was just putting it on Sandy Ryan, even though Sandy Ryan still had her moments. She definitely landed some great body shots, good shots upstairs, right hands as well. But both of these guys have chin. But then again, as well, women, they don't really carry the same amount of power as men do. But the shots that they do eat, they look like there's some tough shots. I mean, shots that potentially could put themselves down. But obviously that didn't happen. But throughout the entirety of the fight, especially with Mikaela Mayer, putting on the pressure, moving in forward, being inside, landing the body shots, landing upstairs, whether it be the hook or the right hand, she was just on another one. And she did tire towards the end of the fight. Obviously, you put on that type of pressure and pace throughout entirety of what she was, putting out on her output side and the volume of what she wanted to be able to push forward. She was going to be able to slow down. She's a human being. And Sandy Ryan had more moments that she was having in her fight. Uh, she was landing some great body shots. She was, continuously trying to be able to find shots while Mikael Mayer is trying to be able to fight in combinations. Good shots to be able to potentially hurt or wobble or, push Mikaela Mayer backwards. But while Sandy Ryan did have good moments, she was doing better, I believe, towards the end of the fight. I think that Mikaela Mayer just showed that she's just on another tier compared to Sandy Ryan, even though Sandy Ryan is very game, very competitive. I think this was more of a blowout than it was in the first fight, where Sandy Ryan was just, swang. They were just swanging and banging. They were just going at it, meat on meat, meat on woman meat. Um, it was just crazy. She had a lot of defensive, deficiencies in her fight. That being the first one with Mikaela Mayer. But she swung a lot more. She landed a lot more in that first fight. In this one, she just got outclassed pretty much. Mikaela Mayer had an absolute great performance in this one. She dug deep, had the toughness to be able to, take some shots because she definitely did as well to the body. They both landed great body shots on each other, and especially his shots up well. But Zepeda Mayer came out on top, as she should, on that fight. And moving on now to the DAZN main event fight that was the rematch between Tevin Farmer and William Zepeda. The first fight only went 10 rounds, but Tevin Farmer put an absolute great performance in that first fight, whereas he got an early knockdown. He hurt William Zepeda with a flash knockdown, was really doing well towards the beginning of the fight, where he was just really not doing what usually Tevin Farmer usually does, where he usually, boxes, stays on the outside, has great, defense and head movement. It's usually what he's known for. He was actually in there fighting. He was actually trying to put and push back William Zepeda. And towards the end of that first fight, William Zepeda came on strong. He was the one pressing the action, moving forward, and he, got controversially a close fight his way. And talking about this fight, it was the absolute antithesis of what it was in the first fight. In this fight, William Zepeda from the onset was just charging forward, just swarming, like just water flowing, just coming, just pushing his way forward, just continuously, whatever was coming his way, whatever that Tevin Farmer had to be able to give William Zepeda, it didn't matter to him because he was going to march forward and try to implement his game plan and have his volume that he usually has in most of his fights, that putting on that pressure and pace that just continuously breaks the majority of fighters that he goes against. And unfortunately for Tevin Farmer, man, looks like he hurt his hand and he hurt his elbow early in the fight. I want to say in the second round, maybe even earlier than that. And it just seemed to really bother him. He didn't really throw the left hand because he is a southpaw, and that is his power punch. That where he sets up most of his power shots, and it just seemed to be a detriment. His corner wanted him to be able to take a knee. He was taking some bad shots. The round that he actually did hurt his hand, and it seemed visible where he was just getting beaten up. But he stayed up. He stayed upright, and his corner convinced him to continue to be able to, just really be the champion that he is. Show his championship pedigree. Show that he is what he claims to be, and he thugged it out. He continued to ride out the fight. And while he did do so, William Zepeda continued again to just march forward, man. Just continued on this pressure that was absolutely agonizing, I would believe, for Tevin Farmer. I mean, the body work by William Zepeda was absolutely tremendous. He landed so many body shots that I eventually thought that Tevin Farmer was going to crumble under all the body work, and putting all that water in that basement was eventually going to hurt Tevin Farmer, keep him stand still and not have his movement that he usually likes to use to be able to dictate the pace of the fight and the range of the majority of what he usually does. That's usually the work that Tevin Farmer likes to have. Um, and then we got towards the sixth round. And somehow, some way, with the injuries that you see that Tevin Farmer continuously has, he's still in there. And I just seen a tide turn. I'm going to be completely honest with you. In that sixth round, I seen William Zepeda slow down. I seen Tevin Farmer start to get more of his in his groove. And he started to be able to fight the fight that Tevin Farmer usually fights the best at and doing the best of his work. And from then on, I think that one of the scorecards was correct, with that being, I believe, 114 a draw. I saw this fight as a draw. I'm going to be completely honest with you. And if there was going to be a winner, it would be William Zepeda. I will be completely honest about that. But from then on, from that sixth round, uh, Tevin Farmer was just completely outboxing William Zepeda. Zepeda still had his moments. He still was charging forward. He still was putting on the pressure. He was still landing good body shots. Uh, but it just seemed like the momentum shifted to Tevin Farmer's way, and it was a Tevin Farmer fight from round six to the end of the fight, where Zepeda seemed to get a knockdown in the ninth round, but it was counted as a slip. And he just started to press forward and wanted to be able to potentially get a knockout and get the fight over against Tevin Farmer. And Tevin Farmer just continued to have this courageous, grit, the determination, the heart, man. That's something that you can't take away from Tevin Farmer, man, because again, he was dealing with those injuries, he was dealing with those trials and tribulations, and he just continued to be able to fight through it. And damn, he put a hell of a performance, man. In that 12th round, it seemed that Tevin Farmer landed a shot on the head of William Zepeda. Zepeda went down, but it was counted as a slip. I thought that should have been a knockdown, in my honest opinion. And if that would have been a knockdown, that could have potentially swung the way of Tevin Farmer, with one having it a draw. So that would have been leaning more towards Farmer winning. Another one, it being a draw, and the other one, it leaning towards Zepeda, with him being up by 2 rounds. So it would have been actually a draw on the cards if that did count as a knockdown in that 12th round, and I did believe that it should have been counted as a knockdown. But again, William Zepeda, he did have his moments. He did keep on pressing forward. He still landed those body shots towards the end of the fight, but the pressure, pace, and volume that he just continued to mount forward towards the beginning of those 6 rounds that he had against Tevin Farmer in this rematch was just not the same. And Tevin Farmer was landing really nice shots. Even though his hand and his elbow was messed up, he landed hellacious left hands, whether it be an uppercut, whether it be a straight left, whether it be to the body. His work was just pristine. And while I do believe, again, that if there was going to be a winner in this fight, the winner would be William Zepeda. I do think that I am leaning more towards a draw. The first fight was another close fight, and they gave it to William Zepeda. This was another close fight. And rightfully so, I do believe that William Zepeda did. Again, if there was going to be a rightful winner for this fight, it would be Zepeda, but I don't think there's going to be a trilogy for this one at all. Tevin Farmer, even though he has a lot of losses on his record, I am kind of biased towards Tevin Farmer because I have seen him grown kind of in front of my eyes, even though I'm not that old of a guy. But again, I've been watching his fights for quite some time since he's been on Top Rank before, and as well as HBO. Tevin Farmer, man, is a class talent. He's gone through a lot of robberies. He's gone through a lot of early losses in his career, and he just continues to showcase and have these tremendous, like, gutsy performance. Like, put his absolute all in terms of his heart in his performance. And yeah, I wouldn't say that this is a robbery. I thought it was a draw. If there was going to be a winner, I would lean toward Zepeda. But yeah, this is the video for boxing news for this past weekend and what happened on these cards. Obviously, like this video. If you like this video, comment your opinions on who you thought won the fight between William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer. Really, really close fight between these two guys. These guys are kind of evenly matched, in my opinion. And I think Tevin Farmer, even with the loss, I think he can keep his head up and continue fighting, other great fighters and still put his hand in the ring to maybe potentially be a champion. I don't know. His power isn't tremendous, but his boxing ability, and now with him hurting somebody like a William Zepeda, I wouldn't be, shocked if he did get more knockouts or did, able to get more respect from other talented fighters in the 135-pound division. And subscribe, boxing fans. Subscribe. I'm here. I'm consistent. If you see it, I see it. And you're here, and I'm going to be here. So why not subscribe if you continue to love this type of content? If you're already here, baby. Thank you guys again for watching again, and peace.